It's a Monster Mash. Jeremy, you made a very wonderful document here for Monster Mash, which is going to be kind of our guiding light for a lot of this. Do you want to reveal the makings of a monster document?
Yeah, so we've got this little document here, which is all about the makings of a monster. It's a brief guideline. It's a step-by-step process for how you can kind of create your own monsters, right? The thought process and the intellectual process about how you're going to create a creature and what it's going to do, and those kind of essential questions of what makes it special and important as a creature in Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, this is what we're going to use tonight for determining. Yeah, you have not seen this before, Frosty Pirate. This is the new skis. I've finished this up. Actually, I finished it up last week, so we were ready technically as of last week. But yeah, it's going to be very exciting. I'm excited to talk about this and start building a monster. This is Monster Mash. Actually, I'm going to put number 1 here. Pete, do you have the Monster Mash document that I sent you, the working doc?
I was
now you do. I just sent
it to you. Oh, great. Wonderful. Yes, I do.
So, looking at this, we saw a handful of ideas. Again, our goal is, I'm going to put a little subtitle here so we've got it. Create the natural predator of a monster. Specifically of a classic monster, right? Like,
and I'm gonna put an asterisk next to natural because I feel if we're finding the predator for an astral dreadnought, that cannot be a natural thing.
All right.
So it's interested in the beholder.
Yeah, beholder, a very exciting one. I love those weird, like, aberrant creatures because it's got to be something very interesting to be hunting them. Maybe a different aberration. But yeah, let's dive right in. Let's dive right in, boys. Let's figure out what are we going to do. We have, right now, the Mind Flayer was suggested by After. The Lich was suggested in the chat. We have the Zombie T-Rex was listed.
That's going to be a very tough one to do if we go that direction, just because of the... It's just the rarity of that monster and the specificity of it would be a little weird. We might have to generalize that down to
interesting.
Might have to generalize that down to something that hunts zombies, and that's big enough to get a zombie T-Rex.
It has to be a giant zombie hunter. Technically, it'd probably be something that hunts like zombie giants too. Technically.
Yeah, it just zombies in general. And Aboleth, Obsidian Syric recommends. Can throw that on the list. The Fire Elemental. Fire Elemental would be a very fun one. I like that idea of I'm picturing something that siphons magic almost. I could picture that being almost another elemental. The Astral Dreadnought was recommended, which for anyone unfamiliar with the Astral Dreadnought, it is a CR. Is it CR30? It's a behemoth that lives in the astral plane. Giant space whales. But not built.
Some wild shit. I see Grogrin also wanted to see the Beholder, and Sword was saying the Kuotoa.
The Beholder. I'm gonna.
Razia is saying the Void Dragon. The problem, Razia, is we want to go with a classic monster in the monster manual, and the Void Dragon, I'm sure it's statted out somewhere. I have never seen the stat block for the Void Dragon, so that's not something I think I can reasonably go for.
We're looking to go stuff with, honestly, ideally for me, I would love to do something that's in just the classic monster manual. But extending it to some of the stuff that's, in the Volos and so on and so forth is fine as well.
Ghosts would be cool.
Ghosts are a very exciting one. I like the idea of doing a ghost. Anything that kind of is a natural predator of undead is very interesting to me just off the bat. Because it's hard to imagine what advantage there could be in such a thing. And the answer is obviously the Ghost Buster, Jeremy.
In 3.5, the Void Dragon was really statted out. Yeah, and I've seen concepts for a Void Dragon. I think from what's that book? Kobold Press did it. I don't remember what it's called, but I've seen something statted out for it in 5e once, but I just don't know very much about the creature. What's the good stat place? A straw poll? Is that what I would go to make
straw poll would be the way to go? Yeah, certainly.
Okay, so
displacers, basilisks. Those are 2 more ideas. Let me toss them on there while you get the straw poll going.
Yeah. So I guess Pete. First question. So we've got a bunch of creatures listed here now. Are there any of these that we think are just kind of out of the reach of what we were going for?
The one that I'm the most reticent about is maybe the Astral Dreadnought. I think that's going to be a little tough for us to make something. I mean, we can obviously build something for it, but it'll be tough for us to do something that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we pulled the. I'm sorry, guys. I think we pulled the Dreadnought off the list.
Zombie T-Rex. I'm okay with that if we're going in the direction of this is something that hunts zombies more than the rest. I think a big thing that eats zombies would be a great way to go.
Yeah.
12-sided guy. I see how it is, Pete. I'm sorry, 12-sided guy. I'm worried about us being able to accomplish such a feat in time. Other than that, the fire elementals are going to be a trickier one, but we might be able to pull that one off. I'm not as worried about that. Kuatoa is a very reasonable one.
That's an incredibly reasonable one.
Kuatoa is almost
reasonable.
It's almost too reasonable. I'm more would be more excited to try one of the ones I think is a little bit harder. I don't know. That's about.
Are there any that super excite you though?
The ones that I'm really into personally, I'm really into Beholder. I'm really into Ghost. Both of those kind of got my dander up, so to speak. Lich. Lich is another one that I'm a little bit worried about. We can figure it out, but Lich is going to be a tough one too. Where are you at, Jeremy? What's exciting you right now?
I really love the idea of the Beholder. That just sounds super interesting to me. But here's what I'm doing at this point, guys. At this point, we're closing it. I have created.
But 12-sided guy, give 12-sided. He said fine bullets.
I added the bullet.
Bullets. Oh, wonderful.
All right, we're going to allow multiple answers, so you guys can vote for whatever you would like to.
I would encourage you, actually, to vote for whatever that you would like and vote for all of the ones that you think would be fun to make.
Yeah, and I've just put that link for the straw poll in the chat, folks. So jump on there, put your vote in for whichever beasties you would like to see us make a monster for. I'm very interested in a couple of these in particular.
Black Pudding is a funny one. I like the idea. I don't know what the person. It's got to be just something that eats the pudding with a spoon, right?
Maybe, Pete. Let's see. It's looking like Beholder is currently in the lead. Could you hit Lich, Zombie, T-Rex, and Ghost with one monster? Could we? Maybe.
The bullet is the last minute entry was one that was actually kind of appealing for me because I just pictured immediately the thing that I pictured was something that eats out the it almost seems like cracking the shell and eating it like you would eat a lobster.
Like
almost.
A lobster, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, it's I really like that because it kind of would be very cool to look at some of the features the bullet has, like the deadly leap. And it makes me think, is that really actually a running away leap? Leap for your life? It's not scary. It's oh no, I'm going to die.
It's like how the Expeditious Retreat spell is more often used to run really fast into combat.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of the opposite of it, really. Let's see, guys. So get those dice in. Hello, local boy 79. Welcome to our show. And also, Boomhauer 95. I hope that we said welcome and thanked you for your follow. But if I did not, I apologize.
Thank you so much for the follow, Boomhauer.
Same with Infernizard. Thank you guys very much.
And the bullet is such a classic monster. Yeah, agreed on that one. I've used.
Bullet's been around forever.
I've used bullets a number of times.
I mean,
love those guys.
Pretty much every time. Let's be real. But yeah, you guys could check out the this makings of a monster mash document right here. We host it on our website for you guys if you want to follow along with what we're doing here. Yeah, been around since first edition of the Bullet. Absolutely.
No, Jeremy, I was asking you before. Which way were you leaning? What was really calling to you personally?
I love the idea of the Beholder, just because the Beholder to me is such like a cool, iconic monster. But even beyond that, there's so many cool things about the Beholder, like dreams. I could see a monster.
That's exactly what was inspiring me too. That's exactly where my mind went to.
That just seemed like such a cool concept to explore.
And in that regard, Jeremy, it looks like it might be. Why don't we say it's for me at least it's 11:24 right now. How about we say at 11:27? So 3 more minutes.
Yeah, just a couple more minutes, guys. If you want to get your chat or if you want to get your votes into the straw poll, it'd be dank.
Frosty Pirate is also thinking a dream eating monster. I'm glad great minds think alike, Frosty. And Obsidian Circus, I think I'm going to dig hanging out and interacting here. Very much our speed over on our channel. Well, I'm very glad to hear that.
Obsidian. Hell yeah, Obsidian! Thank you. And Obsidian, if you what do you do? What's your channel over like on the Twitch and the Twitch zone? Do you also do Dungeons and Dragons stuff? Is this the Twitch sphere or the Twitch zone?
I think it can be both. I don't know if those two things are mutually exclusive.
Yeah, but anyway, we were saying, yeah, Frosty's beat us to it. Feel free to jump on our Discord. You can get to it by going to our website, dndtime.stream. And then once you're there, we've got a channel where people can share their content when they go live and such. So if you also got a Twitch stream related to Dungeons and Dragons stuff, feel free to give us a shout out in your channel or in our channel, rather, so that our community can come see your stuff.
The Twitchdom.
The Twitchdom. Local boy, I'm new to Dungeons and Dragons. Well, congratulations for making the first step into a very fun hobby, local boy. Dungeons and Dragons is such a cool hobby. There's so much you can do with it.
It's basically the most fun game. It's the most fun game, is my opinion on it.
It's everything you want in a game, and none of the stuff you don't want.
Because you get to pick what's in your game.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, this RPG is so good, but it has weapon durability. I hate that. Well, guess what? Your Dungeons and Dragons doesn't have to have weapon durability. Easy.
I love this RPG, but it doesn't have weapon durability. Which I don't think I've ever seen anyone make that complaint before.
Yeah, I've also never heard someone complain about it not having weapon durability. But
actually, Jeremy, I actually like weapon durability. How do you feel about it?
I think that weapon durability sucks sometimes. That's all I got.
Fair enough.
Anyway, folks, we're just about to hit that point where we are going to go with our votes. It looks like there were a lot of votes split apart here, and to all sorts of different of the results. I'm going to refresh it because it looks like it wasn't reordering correctly. But it looks like we are there now with Beholder winning out with 6 votes, and then, Ghost and Black Pudding pretty high up.
I don't think there could be a more iconic first pick than Beholder. The Mind Flayer is the only one that would have competed in terms of just identity with Dungeons and Dragons, and the Beholder. Everyone knows if you play D&D, it's got to be the Beholder.
The Beholder is the only thing that D&D didn't steal from someone else.
Yeah, it's the one unique D&D monster. I thought Illithids were an original D&D. What are Illithids from? Or Mind Flayers?
They're from the thing, the Lovecraft.
Oh yeah, I guess just the Lovecraftian horror. It's because they copyright the name. It's because they copyrighted the name of Mind Flayer that I associate them with D&D. Because I was introduced to them first as Mind Flayers before I was as Illithids of Lovecraftian horror. But this is all aside the point. We got a Beholder to do.
Yeah, so I'm just making this look pretty because.
It's on the damn book, says Frosty Pirate. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Let's talk shop about the Beholder. So, Pete, I think before we even open our Monster Mash guidance document, we're going to come back to the guidance document, folks. Don't you worry.
Do we want to talk about the makings of a monster here?
Well, I mean, I was going to say, do we want to talk about the Beholder first? About like what
that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Let's start off talking about the Beholder.
I feel like we need to know what a Beholder is. So I've got a bunch of the language from the Monster Manual here about what makes a Beholder. All right. One glance at a Beholder is enough to assess its foul and otherworldly nature. Aggressive, hateful, and greedy, these aberrations dismiss all other creatures as lesser beings, toying with them or destroying them as they so choose. A Beholder's spheroid body levitates at all times, and its greater bulging eye sits at above a wide toothy maw, while the smaller eye stalks that crown its body twist and turn to keep its foes in sight. When a Beholder sleeps, it closes its central eye, but leaves its smaller eyes open and alert. I wonder, do we have a good picture? Yeah, we do. All right, so here's a great picture of what a Beholder looks like. And Beholders can take up a lot of different shapes, but here's your pretty quintessential Beholder. He's a big, scary boy.
One angry meatball, indeed. I love the Beholder.
Very good. And I've seen Beholders in all sorts of different ways. Some of them have like almost scales to them, which are very cool. Some of them, rather than having very tentacly eye stalks around them, have very rigid, almost bony eye stalks. It's a very cool take upon them. I've seen particularly creepy Beholders with like molars for teeth instead of sharp, pointy ones. Man, those are scary.
Yeah, it's weird how when you put more regular teeth in something that it becomes more terrifying somehow.
Yeah, it's weird. Human teeth.
Just that uncanny valley you're starting to get closer to. So for the Beholder, I think beyond, do we want to just go through like what the kind of key pieces of lore are about the Beholder?
I think so. I really like, and I think it's going to give us stuff to think about when we go about creating the new monster, right? And right off the bat, xenophobic isolationists. Enemies abound, or so every Beholder believes. Beholders are so convinced that other creatures resent them for their brilliance and magical power, even as they dismiss those lesser creatures crude and disgusting. Beholders always suspect others of plotting against them, even when no other creatures are around. So I think that's a really interesting thing to think about, that neuroticism, right?
That's like paranoia. In a lot of ways right now we're kind of analyzing the weaknesses of the Beholder to just determine how we will break it. So that is one of their things, is their paranoia that they are known for. So the next thing that it has, the disdain a Beholder has for other creatures extends to other Beholders, which maybe there's something to play off of there. The ultimate hunter for the Beholder is the Beholder, which we won't arrive at that cop-out of a solution, but
that's a very cop-out answer.
But there might be something that we can take from that idea to play into the Predator that we create.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, after you, please.
No, Rozzy just said something amazing in chat. An eye parasite that eats its eyes from the inside out. Oh my goodness, a monster that can like blind the Beholder. That is like the ultimate terror for it. I'd love if we could find a way to incorporate that like cataract forming blindness as a key concept in like whatever we make. Because that would be, first, the ultimate terror for a Beholder from what we've seen so far. And it would just make a ton of sense and make a really interesting creature.
B-Bunny was saying, I hope you got what I said, it dreamed its own hunter. So one thing about Beholders is that Beholders are known, or created by dreams. And usually it is the dream of another Beholder, I believe, that creates a new Beholder. Is that the general life cycle, Jeremy, as you remember it?
Yeah, essentially, Beholders can dream things into existence, part of their alien, aberrant form. And beholders can even dream other beholders into existence, and that's typically how beholders propagate, when they rarely do. Of course, they typically won't. They'll either battle each other or flee from each other from that point out of fear of being destroyed from their paranoia. But the other thing I really liked here that I think is important to talk about is, where does it talk about their eyes? Yeah, I guess it doesn't talk about their eyes here typically, but I think we can talk about a little bit of what the beholders have on their stat block, right, Pete?
Yeah, so one of the I think there's maybe three core things that kind of define the beholder in terms of how they function. The first of which is their hovering. Beholders just float. They have a natural flying speed of 20 feet. They can hover. They just kind of zip around. Completely alien movement. Completely impossible. Unnatural. That's what the beholder does. There's not really an explanation for it. Like, even though like a mind flayer is inherently kind of linked to psionics, the beholder doesn't really have an explanation, I feel like, for why it floats. It just floats.
No. Oh, and that's an interesting thing. It just flies, and it doesn't actually have any psionic abilities like the mind flayer does with its mind blast and telepathy and that kind of stuff. The beholder doesn't have those capabilities. It's just a strange magical meatball.
So that's one of the, I think, the big three is its hover. The next one is going to be its anti-magic cone. That big eye in the middle. Anything that eye looks at is subjected to an anti-magic field. So whatever creature that we're going to be kind of playing around with needs to be able to get out of the gaze of that big eye. I see some people are kind of getting into the idea of a parasite that like goes behind the eyes of the beholder. So that's something. Beauty lies within the eye of the beholder. There's a joke. I didn't really feel like working too hard for it, but I could say a beauty lies in the eye of the beholder thing there. But the anti-magic field is going to be a big one for us to play around with. Something that doesn't use magic to defeat it makes a lot of sense to me.
And actually, when you said psionics, that's exactly what I thought of, because a lot of the times psionics aren't magic. They're a different supernatural ability, but they aren't considered a magical ability. So that would be an interesting direction.
It's interesting that sometimes that distinction is made where it's like in favor of, and sometimes it is not. Like sometimes psionics are magic and they aren't. But we should be clear about that if we're going to go that direction in our monster, that this is not magical.
Yeah, and I think Oxtaza is a great comment in chat. Predators have their own goals. They don't exist simply to make their prey miserable. I agree. I mean, I think we definitely want to have something that can take advantage of the weaknesses of the beholder, and something hiding behind its eyes would certainly be an idea for it. But I typically want to avoid things that, like, when we can help it. Obviously, in like the case of a Tarask, you're not going to make a monster bigger than a Tarask to hunt it. You got to go with like a parasite or something small. I don't think we need to go in that direction for the beholder, because I'm worried that the point of this is making a monster that other players can also, that other dungeon masters can use in their games. And a parasite that goes behind your eyes, that doesn't sound like, at least to me, a super fun monster for me to use in my games. That just sounds like something like a vindictive DM would unleash upon their players. Be like, haha, and now you have a parasite in your eyes. Cut your eyes out.
Yeah, that's a great guiding point, Jeremy. We want to create something that's going to be fun for dungeon masters to put, like, for example, I can picture Great Encounter where they're fighting a beholder. This thing kills a beholder, and now they're fighting this thing instead. Like, there's we want to be able to create those kind of scenarios for dungeon masters to use this stat block other than just as a foil to a creature.
And I like the reversal too. Like, right, like there's a beholder that's causing all sorts of problems in the Underdark. Everybody's scared, and the drow, you make a tentative deal with them where the drow will help you get across some treacherous canyon, Underdark canyon, if you go deal with the beholder, and you make your way to the beholder's lair, and all that's left is the bony skull of a beholder. And you're like, what happened? And they see that, and they're expecting an undead beholder of some kind. But then this other thing, right? It's the reversal.
A death tyrant.
Yeah, and I think that could be a very cool. A swarm creature could certainly work, 12-sided guy, and that actually plays really well into the next and final core thing that makes a beholder a beholder.
Yeah, this
is
is
eye rays.
This the juice right there is the eye rays.
Yeah, from each of these multicolored eyes, from each one, it can fire a different magical ray. And that ray typically has some sort of like very potent power. One of them is a charm ray, which it can use to take over the minds of its foes. One is a paralysis ray, which freezes you up. One is a fear ray, which causes you to flee in horror. Slowing ray, an enervation ray, which drains your energy. A telekinetic ray, which can just lift you up into the air. Sleep ray, kind of obvious. Petrification ray, also kind of self-explanatory. Disintegration ray, and a death ray. So this thing can just, when it's up against creatures that it can look at and target with its eyes, it's super deadly. So Swarm might be a really cool way of avoiding those eye rays. So that might be something to think about as we're making this predator.
I agree, certainly. And Angstaza was saying, for what it's worth, I was thinking something that could be used by players against beholders. And that's a good note, actually. That's a good thing to let us know is if you have an idea. Like, one of the key things is just to think about how this monster is going to be used practically and how it's fun to put it in your game, be it as a challenge or, in this case, like an ally that the players might be able to game, which is another cool direction to go. It's also a question of, like, we might want to create a sentient monster versus a non-sentient. Is this something that hates beholders, or is this something that's just effective against and is in the same territory as beholders? These are a lot of the questions we're going to be asking ourselves as we're going through.
Yeah, and again, like when we were creating the plant creatures earlier, the Arctic plants, we really want to think of how is this a unique and interesting game experience for my players, right? For the players who are going to be at my table, they're going to be interacting with these creatures. So now that we've talked a little about these beholders, do we want to move on to the Monster Mash doc and see what we can come up with?
Yeah, I would love to. Let's start actually getting into the nitty-gritty of this.
Bam! The makings of a monster. So this is a pretty straightforward little process. My intention in putting this together was to make something that is relatively easy for folks to follow. I'm going to put a link to it in the chat for anyone who wants to follow along or download a copy or anything like that. But a relatively easy to follow kind of guideline for conceptualizing and following through with the creation of your monster. So you want me to take the first kind of section, Pete? Or do you want to start us off?
No, go ahead, Jeremy.
All right. The essential aspects of every monster. Every monster, whether meek or mountainous, or dependable or depraved, or anything in between, can be categorized into a series of categories. The categories help us to think about and understand the defining characteristics of the monster and its place in the universe, as we discover our monster and determine one absolute fact about the creature before moving forward. This step is meant to give us a building block to ask the questions how, why, when, what, or where as we move through our categories in the process. Generally, this fact should be something that the monster does, not what it is. So examples might be, this monster kills humans at night. This monster disturbs graveyards. Or this monster holds prisoners for ransom. So in this case, we know the answer to this question.
Angstaza has it right there in chat. So it preys on beholders. Yep, that is what we know.
Absolutely. Do we want to broaden that? Is this monster's only prey going to be beholders? Or does this prey on aberrations?
I think for the purpose of our first one here, I'd like to narrow it to beholders, since I think that's a lot of what we're going for with Monster Mash.
Yeah, like with the zombie T-Rex, this would be, it hunts huge undead creatures.
Yeah.
But we're not going to that direction. We're going for beholders here. So I think that's a very cool idea.
Just otherness, just a cool idea so it doesn't get lost before we go back. Could make it something that is so bright it's painful to look at or have any eyes open while it's nearby. Especially because beholders a lot of time hang out in the Underdark and in just dark kind of places. I think, a blinding thing would make a lot of sense. That's kind of a cool contrast, could make an interesting counter. Just wanted to note that while it was there.
All right, so let's move on to our next kind of topic, the monster's type. In 5th edition D&D, monsters have a type, and while that's not always true in other settings, at least by the books, most game systems, you think about what type of monster it can be, and it can help you learn a lot about its motivations. Even if your game system doesn't have a specific type, you can think about monsters in these broad type categories because they kind of exist even if they aren't codified in the mechanics of other games. So in D&D, these are aberrations, beasts, celestials, constructs, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, giants, humanoids, monstrosities, oozes, plants, and undead. So we got to choose a type for the creature, and that'll help to inform and inspire us as we discover more about it. And then I have descriptions for all the creature types also included here. These are just straight out of the monster manual. But
if any of you, I would say for the most part, I think a lot of these are pretty self-explanatory. Ones that I think might be a little bit off, aberrations are just strange alien creatures from, the Beholder is an aberration, just strange alien creatures, Lovecraftian usually. Celestials are just creatures from the upper planes, angels and things. I think Construct, Dragon are both clear. Beast is clear. Elemental, creature, just a being of an element. Fire elementals, just being of pure fire. Fae and Fiends are creatures from the Feywild or from one of the lower planes, like a hell or an abyss, something like that. And I think just about everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Giant, humanoid, monstrosity, ooze, plant, undead.
So, Pete, what are you thinking for this?
I'm really interested to see what other people want to do for it, because I have maybe 4 that I think could be cool. And all of them kind of play into a different direction that we could go with it. For example, people were talking about the parasites. I could picture that being some kind of swarm of beasts or aberrants, aberrant like insects, if we're going to go the swarm direction. If we're going to go something that is tied to its dreams, I could almost picture like a fae creature that interacts with that more dreamy aspect of the Beholder. I think that could be really cool. And a couple of other ones that are maybe not, I think, things that we've talked about, but might be just cool ways. I could picture, for one thing, I think you could use humanoid for anything. Like, these are just like, we could create a
cop out.
Yeah, we could create a tribe of Beholder hunters if we wanted to do that. And that's not necessarily, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's a cop. I don't want to do that today.
It's a cure-all, right? You can always go.
Yeah, which I don't know if I want to do that today, but it's an option, and if people are excited and have cool ideas for that, I wouldn't want to close that path off. And the last one is just a big monstrosity that lives in a certain region where Beholders would be prevalent, and just smashes Beholders,
Yeah, Frosty was saying a tribe isn't a natural predator, right? I mean, I think it's fine. Like, I think that's okay. I don't think it's too different than like a swarm. Maybe a little bit more intelligent than a swarm, but
that was why I had put that asterisk next to natural at the beginning, just because I just wanted to. If we want to come up with something that has a reason to hunt a Beholder that is motivated by intelligent thought, like for example, I could picture a celestial that is tasked with defeating Beholders. That's not the direction that inspires me personally, but I don't think that that's a bad idea. Like, if they have a more lore and civilization kind of reason for hunting Beholders.
Yeah, so Nina had a really cool idea, a creature that uses like a flash bomb and then attacks and strikes. That might be a really cool concept if we go with a more more conventionally predatory creature. Maybe something that can create large flashes of light that blind. That sounds like spot on.
Everybody was saying Beast is an idea. Everybody was saying also Fae is a beautiful contrast to what an aberration is. What were you thinking, Jeremy? I hadn't heard what you were inspired by here.
So everybody again was talking a lot about. I'm kind of with you in regards to. I really like the coming from the dream perspective with the aberrations and the Fae, and I kind of like what I think V Bunny was kind of going with there, right? Focusing on the beauty concept. that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? The classic pun. I almost like the idea of like a jealous fae that the reason they do this thing is in part because like they crave, or maybe because they're fae and can be weird like that, right? They almost get their power and their strength from being the most beautiful of creatures, and maybe that's why they hate them, kill the beholders, is because right the beholders see themselves as more beautiful or more perfect. That could be a cool direction.
A contest of. I like that idea ties into the beholder's lore. Both, I mean, obviously we'll build a creature that's designed to hunt these creatures, but it's a more thematic. It's a more thematic contradiction between the two, rather than just like this thing has a bright light, so it beats up beholders. So they can have the bright light, but I like that it has that deeper relationship. So maybe that's a cool direction if people are excited about it.
Well, it's just why, like, I think that already gives some really good direction as to, well, we know how it fights the beholders, right? Through lights and through dreams. We know why it hunts the beholders, in part because of this the egotism almost, right? It's a contest of egos almost. I think those are starting to answer some really cool questions. I like that. I also like the idea of the beast, like conceptually. I'd like the idea of like an aberration, kind of like a super predatory evil flump.
The dark flump. Big Tiger Man asks, "Are you guys answering general questions about D&D?" We're kind of focused on this right now, but we can take a moment. If you have a question, be sure to shout it out, and we'll do the best we can in the time we got.
Yeah, and if it's a longer kind of question and you're looking for a lot of different perspectives and feedback, you should jump on our Discord. You can get on that by going to our website, dndtime.stream, clicking on the Discord button, and we've got a big community, all sorts of folks who I'm sure would love to give you some of their thoughts and ideas if you're looking for more general kind of ideas on something.
I agree.
Frosty, I hope you don't mind, but I also want to make one. It's undead.
You're not allowed to. No, of course, Frosty. Of course, we don't mind.
I almost love the idea, because if we were going to go undead, I imagined it right as like the one that turns the mind flayer from turns the beholder from a beholder into like a death tyrant. It's the middle stage of that.
Or
cool.
Just some third-party creature that wants to make death tyrants. I'm just going to take a brief moment and turn on my air conditioner because it's very hot in my room. I'll be right back.
It's been so warm the last few days. It has been wild out here, folks. Absolutely wild. Oh, boy. I don't know what Pete just did. Yeah, so I don't know about you guys, but I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think Pete, are you back?
Hi, I'm back.
I think we want to go with the Fae. V-Bunny brought that up. I thought it was a really cool idea. I'm very inspired by it for a lot of directions. I think that's a very cool direction.
Also, I'm down. That's why I was leading that direction. I just have a natural predilection towards the Fae.
Modeled after a peacock with a tail of feathers that has all those bright colored eyes. Oh, 12-sided guy. I love it.
I really like the idea of I really like the idea of kind of paralleling them both like thematically and also physically. Having like something that's kind of similar to the beholder in their appearance is kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, so I know we know what Fae is, but I'm going to read the little excerpt for Fae anyway. Fae are magical creatures closely tied to the forces of nature. They dwell in twilight groves and misty forests. In some worlds, they're closely tied to the Feywild, also called the Plane of Faerie. Some are also found in the outer planes, particularly the planes of Arborea and the Beastlands. Fae include dryads, pixies, and satyrs. So they're exactly what you expect them to be, these mystical, whimsical forces. Hypnotic Fae Peacock. I mean, maybe we call it a Hypnotic Fae Peacock. I don't know. That'd be really interesting if the beholder was more vulnerable to that hypnotism because it has so many eyes to see whatever it is. That's a cool concept.
It's an interesting idea, yeah.
Pete, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to run to the bathroom very, very quickly. but I've moved us to the monster ecology and origins.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's start talking about the monster ecology and origins and see if we can answer these questions about this creature. And Jeremy will be back shortly. So, the monster ecology and origins, this is where a monster resides and how it does or does not fit into the natural ecology of an area is critical when discovering your creature. So we're going to consider the creature's actions and its type when answering the following ecological questions. And here's the 6 questions that we have to kind of work and play around with here as we're figuring things out. The first of which is, where can you find the creature? Which I think that the direction we're going, I think we kind of answered that in discussing this and the type, which is this is a Fey creature, so presumably you could find it in the Feywild as a Fey creature, but also we could find this creature in dreams. And I think my voice just cracked. We could find this creature in dreams. You're never too old for your voice to crack, folks. And that's I really like the idea of designing a creature that can kind of go into dreams or in some way interact with dreams beyond it just being the dreams of the beholder, because that's going to give you a little bit more scope in how you could use this creature in your games. But that's going to be the first thing that we're going to talk about, so we'll circle back around to it. The next one, is it disruptive to the natural cycle there? Is this an invasive species or something that's native to the kind of terrains that we're talking about? If there are telltale signs of its presence, what are they? How do you know that this creature is about? Is another way of putting that. Is it commonly found with or near other creatures? Is it a loner? Is it a pack hunter? Is it a symbiotic relationship with another creature? A lot of stuff that you guys were all touching on in your ice plants earlier on. The next is, if it's not native to an environment, what are its origins? We're going to be looking at that. And then, how does the creature do what it does in its environment? And that's starting to touch on mechanics, but we'll talk vaguely about the kind of things we want the creature to be doing.
Yeah.
So I was just saying, we're starting here with, where do you typically find the creature?
Oh, I was listening. And
oh, great.
I like this. So do we want it to be a creature that is like a Feywild native, or is it a Fey creature that almost has kind of left the Feywild? It's not really found in the Feywild anymore.
I don't think that we need to actually specify that detail. I think that we just need to specify that this creature lives in dreams. And then if it's a Fey type creature, maybe a dungeon master who sees that will go, oh, well, I'm running a Feywild game, so I'll put it in my Feywild. But I think we can leave that vague.
I kind of like, because I want to think a little bit about more of like the origins aspect, because I think the ecology is kind of out the window. We're talking about beholders that are a disruption to the ecology anyway. We can't really think about this creature in the context of ecology. But if we talk about origins, Pete, here's a thought that I just came up with that I really love. What if this is a Fey creature, right, that has been almost kind of like the Fomorians, banished from the Feywild by the courts and banished to the dreams, to like this kind of esoteric realm of dreams. And that's kind of, it like almost wills itself into being by manipulating the beholder.
That is that's a very cool idea.
It's almost trying to escape its dreamlike prison.
I like the idea that they have that. That's a very cool texture for one of these creatures. I like that as a baseline to play around with.
It's almost preying on the beholder's ability to dream things into reality more than it's preying on the beholder itself.
Which I assume, of course, at some point it also preys on the beholder itself.
Once it's done with it, yeah.
A mandrill monkey type Fey with the peacock tail. That's kind of a cool look. And getting into, you mentioned, look at Rafiki, kind of a Rafiki from Lion King vibe that you're going with. That's it's very Avatar spirit worldy to me, which I just recently watched Avatar. So there's a lot of stuff that I just have a tendency to now relate to Avatar. But this whole idea of a creature that appears in dreams and is kind of like a hunter of these aberrant things, that does feel very Avatar spirit world to me.
Yeah, I do like it though. So I think, like, originally, right, we were talking about the idea of beauty and it's this jealous Fey being. Do we want to stick in that direction, or do we want to go more in this kind of like using the beholder to its own ends kind of direction?
Can you give me that dichotomy again?
Well, because like when we were originally jumping to the Fae, one of the potential ideas we were thinking of was that it was like a jealous Fae being, right? And because the beholder thinks itself perfect, right? That's kind of why it hunted the beholders, because it is perfect. It is this perfect Fae creature. But I kind of like it better as the like almost imprisoned Fae creature.
I kind of like both ideas, honestly. I don't know if I have particularly one way.
I mean, we can always like have a little bit of both. Like,
yeah, column A, column B. We don't want to.
Okay, no, it's both. It's a creature banished in the Feywild because it was too beautiful, and that's how it comes into the world, emerging fully formed from the beholder's eye. Beauty in the eye of the beholder. We're done.
I mean,
but actually, kind of cool.
I mean, the beauty in the eye of the beholder thing. It's gonna come out in this no matter what.
It's gonna be a bad pun.
It's too easy. It's too easy of a pun. Shimmywanga, Fae creatures can live in dreams. The only way a beholder could ever know if they're coming is if they had an empire and the people living around start to have dreams, seeing strange creatures in their dreams. And I think that's a really cool idea of like,
telltale cycle.
Are there telltale signs of its presence? What are they?
Yeah.
If you're sleeping in an area around this, you'll see like visions of one of these creatures, or even interact with one of these creatures. Are they, Jeremy, are we going to make these creatures particularly sentient? Like, are these going to speak languages and be on the same kind of intellectual level as a beholder?
I almost see this creature as not. I love the idea of it being a mindless beauty, right? It's a beautiful creature, right? But it's like vicious.
I feel like that a complicated concept like vanity doesn't work as well though without defining intelligence behind it. It's hard. Right. I feel like for something to have what I would say is the emotion, like the complex emotion of feeling envious and vain, without that. I think the beauty you could do without that and have it just be like a unicorn, almost just a symbol of beauty. But
well, I don't think it matters too much at this point. We'll figure that out as we continue to explore this creature, because we're about to move on to our next kind of, and I think almost second to last kind of subject here for creating the monster, which is the monster's tactics. So by this point, we should have a pretty decent idea of what we're creating. We should understand what it does, how it affects its environment and the other creatures in it, and we can start developing its tactics. So tactics is, I'm not meaning this in like a super strategic, like mechanical manner. Tactics can include things like how it hunts, any special abilities it might have. Tactics can include its vulnerabilities and weaknesses, and how it copes with those weaknesses. So, if it doesn't like water, right? How it avoids being in water, right? Or that it avoids being in water. And a lot of these can kind of be directly reflected in a stat block when we do that. Or some of them just end up in kind of flavor text about the creature. So I'm liking where we're coming so far. How do you feel about, like, what's the physicality of this creature?
The physicality of this creature. I am not actually opposed to. I mean, it's just kind of a wild idea. I've started to get this idea of like the monkey with the peacock tail into my brain because of 12-Sided Guy's recommendation. Do you have anything that you're thinking right now? It's like the only thing that I've had in my mind this whole time. So it's like,
I do really like that. I think it's a very neat concept. It feels very Fey to me, and I think that Avatar: The Last Airbender, like, spirit world feel that really hits the nail on the head on, actually really works well for our kind of dream kind of thing that we've put together. This weird juxtaposition between the Feywild and dreams and the material plane through beholders. Like, I really dig it, and I think the two intermingling points of peacock vanity, right? Very clearly vanity. And monkey mischievousness or deception can kind of be tied into there, like work.
A cleverness. I think that Angsthaus's previous statement, it's a little bit back. Why kill it if you can enslave it to your own ends? I think the final. I think that these things are almost like we were talking about parasites. I think these are just dream parasites of Beholder, where they just manipulate the Beholders in their dreams because Beholders assume that they have control over their own dreams, and these things are just a product of them, which they aren't. And so, they just kind of manipulate the Beholder. Their tactic, I think, is just slow psychological drain until they find a new, fresher Beholder, and then they just kind of, abandon or get rid of it. Would be their function in context of the Beholder.
Is that what we're doing with it? Or is it more like... Because, I guess the direction is, are they... So we need a physical creature in the end, right? So that the players can battle it. We can't have it just always be this esoteric dream creature. It needs to eventually have a physicality so that it can be a monster that they fight. So if we're sticking with that, like, dream creature that comes into reality through the Beholder, like, do we want to do that?
If we want to directly tie it to the Beholder, I think that's the best way to do it.
Okay.
Because one thing I'm worried about is we don't want to... We have a lot of ideas going around right now, and I don't think we want to... I think that this is a creature I think that this is a creature that infiltrates Beholder dreams and in the hopes of escaping them and becoming corporeal is a simple enough concept to work with.
I agree. So we'll stick with that. It infiltrates the Beholder's dreams with the intention of becoming corporeal. What does it do once it's out of the dream? Does it control the Beholder?
I don't know. I mean, that's an answer for us.
That's a really wild tactic.
I think it just kills the Beholder. I think once it's done, it just shuts off the way for other ones to get out because it's a vain creature.
Oh, I like that a lot. That's a very good. Once it's broken the Beholder to a point where it can be used to escape. Yeah, I like this a lot. Everybody, relax. We're gonna get to your answer in the chat. Like, we're talking through stuff.
How tasty is eye gel? Was a great question.
Yeah. Oh God. I don't know. I mean, this weird monkey peacock creature that we're creating. Maybe he like eye gel. I don't know. So, what's the like? I think we have a basic image for this monkey peacock. Here's a question I got for you, Pete. Does this monkey peacock have a face? I imagined it just having flat no face.
Oh wow. I was picturing almost something Sphinxian, where it's like a human face on the monkey head.
Interesting. I like that too.
I mean, I could go any direction. Whatever like is evocative to all of you, really, is what it comes down to.
But the beautiful mandrill face.
The beautiful mandrill face.
That's true. We could. Let's get a good picture of a mandrill really quick. Oh, he's got a very beautiful face. Oh man, here we go. Can we copy this image? Yeah, here we go. Chat. Here is our buddy's face. Oh, look at him. What a happy boy. Okay, I'm with you. Anastasia. That's terrifying. I love it.
Jeremy, can I derail us? Jeremy, can I derail us?
The colors of the wings and the face. It's beautiful. Take it.
Can I derail us for 1 second?
Sure.
Have you ever seen the most handsome gorilla in the world, Jeremy?
No, I don't.
Can you put an image? Can you just type most handsome gorilla, and there's just a very handsome gorilla that's gonna come up.
It's like
he's the unbelievably photogenic gorilla. I recommend that everyone.
He's just kind of chilling.
Yeah, he has all these like poses that he does where it looks like he's just posing for a magazine cover. His face is very
I found him. This is him.
Yeah.
Dude, the gorilla is just so relaxed. He's just
so
hanging
leisurely, so confident looking. Yeah.
Man, I envy that gorilla.
Anyway, that's all I wanted. When you were talking about what about the beautiful mandrill face, I thought of the world's most handsome gorilla.
And actually, I think Just Otherness just mentioned something that alone would make me want to go in this direction. Just like we encountered earlier, I'm picturing the party defeating a beleaguered beholder just to see this thing emerge fully formed from the forehead of the beholder's carcass.
Very cool.
I love that. That's a very evocative and terrifying dramatic moment that the party can come across. That answers our question of what is a unique and engaging gameplay experience that this creature can have. And that, like, this isn't even my final form. Like, I think that works very well. Except it's not quite that. It's like, haha, you freed me from my prison. But I don't know. I think it's very cool. I like
I could picture just describing like having a fight with the beholder, where the beholder keeps having like what seems like an insane conversation with someone, just holding up one side of it, and finally like agreeing to like, all right, I'll bring you in if you'll help me.
My mind.
Just save me. And then they come out and they don't save the beholder.
I like this a lot. Yeah, but when he does, he drinks Dos Equis, the most photogenic girl in the world. That being said, I really like the mandrill face. I like both. What if it's both? I don't know. Let's. I think right when it's angry, it becomes flush with color. Maybe. Anyway,
that's a direction. Yeah, figuring out the look of this creature will be a work of some time, just because we're creating something that feels like a mythological thing, but it just doesn't exist right now. So just whole cloth describing the appearance of that. Oh yeah, exactly. But whole cloth just determining the appearance of a creature like that can be a little tricky and take some time. So that'll be something we'll probably home in the next step.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit, just flushing out our monster tactics. We have a good idea now. The first paragraph we just got through. We have a pretty decent idea of the creature we're making, how it exists, what its purpose is, why it hunts the beholders. We know everything we need to know about why you'd want to use this. Let's start talking about what abilities it has and how it fights.
Absolutely.
That I'm very excited about.
Absolutely. So first things first, I think it blinds with dazzling radiance.
Does it blind or hypnotize?
I think blind is simpler and an easier thing to implement, so that is an advantage to blind.
I was thinking like hypnotic pattern kind of hypnosis, like a stun effect.
Do we want to give it spells, or do we want to make it? Oh, we want to make this we explicitly want to make this a non-magical being.
Yeah, well, my idea is it stuns with its like big dazzling peacock array. Like the colors are, it is a hypnotic pattern, is kind of my thought. To the point where maybe it's the kind of creature that you need to like look away from, like a basilisk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. That's an interesting idea. I think we could go that direction. That seems like a good just baseline tactic. And Beholder will just have to make like 8 saves against it every time it targets it with an eye ray.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
The creature should probably be able to fly, right?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's gotta fly. We're giving it like peacock wings too, right? It almost has like the peacock tail, like peacock like wings, but they're like angelic wings because it's a monkey body.
That's a wild look.
I like it though. I really dig it.
So it needs to be able to fly, I think, to meet the beholder on its own terms.
Flying, stunning hypnosis.
I think that
what else does it do?
It's going to have some kind of passive feature on the creature directly, where it's going to it should have something like, dream viewer, I don't know, whatever it is, where it can enter dreams of people sleeping within a certain radius around
like the night hag,
as if by the dream spell. Does the night hag have such a thing?
Yeah, well, it travels the ethereal plane and can hunt your dreams from it. I kind of like that idea.
I think it should definitely be able to do that. Because I also love the idea of, for example, a party wandering around in the Underdark. And they don't even know that they're not doing anything involving this, and then in their dreams they just start to have this thing that's trying to like lure them to the beholder to fight it so that they can like weaken it and then escape. Like that's a cool just storytelling thing, and that's, I think that is going to be the juice on this monster, is interacting with it in players' dreams before
and that's where the weird dreams come from. That like the telltale signs of it being around, it's trying to just lure people to the beholder to kill the beholder or to weaken the beholder enough for it to escape. That's very cool. I love that so much.
Dreamwalker. That is actually the first thing I thought too, but it's a thing in D&D times, so I wanted to avoid saying it. But I think Dreamwalker is like the right name for that feature.
Like, okay, what else? So lures creatures to beholder.
No need to be sorry. I was, you found a better solution than me, because I was just, for completely unpointless reasons, avoiding saying that.
I like the idea that this creature has a vicious bite. Like when I look at this and I see this mandrill, I imagine that maw on this like terrifying beast. Also, Unktaza corrected, they were thinking the peacock tail almost is its wings.
We have
that also works really well for me.
I missed this message from 12-Sided Guy. Ever see Disney's Gargoyles? Imagine that general physicality, but with feathers, a winged monkey, the eyes and the wings. Ooh, actually, that's it. That like works for me so much. A winged monkey, the eyes and the wings that it wears as a robe while not using them. That's also very. Oh man, there's a lot of cool aesthetics in that sentence that I'm very into.
Gonna just copy that and put that on my little notepad here.
Peacock tail as wings. Yeah, okay. Now we're coming at something that I'm really starting to like visualize, which is I'm into it.
I like that like as a robe form, because that just like is so dramatic. Like the players charge into the beholder's chamber, into the beholder's lair. So, beholder, your time of doom is at hand, right? The paladin, and in the middle of the chamber, there's just this empty, hollow giant skull of the beholder, and this slouched figure, dazzling colors draped around it like a cloak, right? Like, that's terrifying to me.
That's really cool.
That just is a very evocative moment.
It's also so I love the contrast to everything the beholder is. It's equally intimidating, but like, it's very cool.
Yeah. All right, so I think we've got some great tactics now. It's got a big bite move, because that's just scary, with its monkey maw. It's got wings, and it flies around, and it dazzles and stuns people. Does it do and it goes into people's dreams. Is there anything else that we care about, or does that pretty much do it?
Honestly, that's the juice. I feel like it's gotta have one more.
It does psychic damage, right? With its like normal attacks, probably. Like its fists do psychic damage, kind of like a Rakshasa.
And I think it needs one more.
Ooh, that kind of works.
Ooh. It has been peacock eyes the whole time. Maybe. Is that where I missed the first part of that? Is that where the robe of eyes comes from? It's been peacock eyes the whole time. Maybe, yeah. So I feel like it needs one more thing that makes it fun to fight, like some other action it can take specifically in combat. And maybe it's
what if it can teleport to creatures? It can't teleport anywhere, but it can teleport to creatures like with an intelligence above a certain point.
I'm into it.
Like that might be a cool direction.
Can we do? This is too complicated, I think. This might be its own monster, but tell me what you think of this. Well, never mind. I think this idea is rad. I don't know if we can fit it into it. I picture almost like, how creatures can like sometimes teleport via shadows and like hide in shadows. I picture this going into your mind and thoughts and like literally hiding in your mind like a creature. That's just a very cool idea. And maybe there's another creature that does that. But I just wanted to share that thing that I was on and see if it gave you any inspiration.
So like you're saying that it can hide in your mind. I love that idea where like when it's close, when it's like on the brink of defeat, it just picks someone and tries to hide in their mind, and you need like a lesser restoration or something to force it out to finish it off.
I was thinking something along those lines. Yeah, you know, you enter into like an intellect contest with it or something like that as it tries to escape into your thoughts, like it was basically doing to the beholder before.
So would it be like in your head and it would come out at some point in the future, or is it just its escape? Okay, so it's just like holed up in your.
Well, it's either in your head and it would come out sometime in the future, or it would just, you know, maybe it's just like a moment's respite and it does something. I don't know how we would phrase that, but I just think that that's a really, there's nothing that does anything like that in the game. I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah, I like that very much. And that makes a really interesting kind of ongoing encounter for the players where they're like, oh fuck, what happened? It just leapt into, and I like the vision, like the visual of it running forward, that being like a melee feature. It leaps and it just leaps into your head and it's just gone. Right?
12-sided guy saying the scraping sound of talons on solid surface in your dreams haunting you while you're awake. And I picture like, if I was DMing this for a player, this is starting to get just into like storytelling and how you'd run this monster. But I picture like, if I was DMing for this, I would let the player, if they wanted to focus on it, just see what that creature was doing and like I would just show them at first, just like, if you think about the creature, you just picture them in a void, just like huddled and resting. And then later on, if you picture them, I could see them doing things just like looking, just like kind of in the background, watching some of your memories and stuff like that. Like that'd be such a cool. That's again, this is just wild at this point, but
yeah, no,
there's just
I
so
like
much storytelling potential. I think in that idea.
I like this quite a bit. I think we've got our creature at this point. Hides in your dreams and slash haunts you as like as a retreat kind of strategy. It can fly around. It's got a vicious bite and it stuns people with its dazzling array.
Yeah, I like that last addition. I think it needed one more.
Yeah, absolutely. And that truly makes it like a supernatural dream monster, right? That we really want it to do. Because I could see a player not realizing it's a dream monster without that feature. You know, they might not put together that the night hag like dream haunting is this creature. They might not put that stuff together. So anyway, I like this quite a bit.
And I think that or pulling its strands, that's another interesting idea. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you could like, we'll give it a core mechanic, and we'll define that with a mechanic when we stat this thing out. And I don't think, Jeremy, I don't know what your plan was. I don't think we're going to stat this thing out tonight, though, are we?
I think what we want to do, right, is we want to just get a super rough thing down, make sure all of the points are down, and we don't have to worry about the core, like, stats of it.
Yeah, we don't need to
make sure we have all the concepts there. Yeah, so the last step on our Monster Mash document is to stat it out. Congratulations, you made it to the final step, statting out the creature. At this point, you can actually start statting out the creature you've just concepted. Start by developing the tactics-related features in the creature, and then any creatures related to its origins or ecological niche. Finally, check out some of the creatures that share a type with the creature you're creating, and consider including some of the common features about those creatures. So we'll be looking at things like charm resistances and stuff that you'd expect on other Fae. And then when you stat out the creature, don't worry all that much about creating the exact armor class or hit points or damage values of the attacks and abilities. The exact fine balancing of a creature is as almost as much of an art as it is a science. Consider using the monster balance guidelines in the 5th edition monster manual when determining final stats. So that's where I think we're going to get. We're going to get to that rough cut. This is basically what we're going for. I'm loving this, by the way.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Also, this document works perfectly. I hadn't actually tried statting out a monster with this yet, so
Jeremy,
congratulations, team.
I don't know about you, but does this creature almost feel like a proper noun to you?
Oh, it almost does. We don't have a name. What the? Okay.
Yeah, we gotta name this creature, and we're not gonna name it with a proper noun, but this creature
I feel like
feels.
It calls itself a proper noun.
Oh, certainly. And I could picture like, I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't run more than one of this in a campaign. Usually, I would usually just assume that Farku started off with the Shimmywanga, and honestly, it's not a bad name. Like just
Farku, you were trolling us, but you failed.
I don't know if it's called now. Well, Grog, I don't know if you were joking about Shimmywanga or not, but I actually like that. Like that feels like what this kind of thing would be called.
I kind of agree. I want to say quick shout out to You Will Never Know in the chat. Followed us 1 hour ago. Thank you. You Will Never Know. Appreciate your support and for following and for stopping by. And same with Geeky Game Guru. Followed 11 minutes ago. Sorry we missed that, guys. We were
thank you so much to both of you, though. Yeah, we were in the zone for a little bit there, but thank you so much to both of you for joining us and for following.
The Monster Mash happened.
The Monster Mash happened.
We'll name.
We're just actually wrapping it up right now. But we'll, regardless of what happens here, I think me and Jeremy are going to, actually write up this monster nice, kind of condense it down and create a finished product from what we came up with here tonight. And when it's done, we'll post it in the workshop with the Lab Rats tag.
I think chaotic evil is what we want to call this thing, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
This is not a friendly Fae. Medium Fae, chaotic evil. Angstaza, thank you so much for your ideas. Like
that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, I was on the same page there. I was about to say the same.
Pete and I were merely moderators to this incredibly productive discussion going on in the chat. Y'all came up with a dope monster.
I'm going to type something up for next time on the labs. I'm glad to hear it, Grogan. There'll probably be another homework assignment, too, for next week. The one that I would plan to do this week, I ended up having just a busy week and didn't get around to putting my little packet together. But I have a fun spell-based one for next week that I'm looking forward to doing. So.
Yeah. So, Pete, I got just a quick question.
Yeah.
What are we thinking for the kind of challenge rating, if we were to guess something, what were we thinking about this creature? Obviously the Beholder for perspective is about a 13.
I was thinking this is like actually 17. I was actually thinking a little bit lower than the Beholder, but it's just good against the Beholder. But
that's an option too. We can go in either direction.
CR Angstaza's on the same page as you. CR should be higher than the Beholder. I think that 17 feels still a little bit high. Like I feel like the problem with making something 17 is people start to feel a little too intimidated by using it. That's getting into that near 20 territory where things are wild. So how about one up? How about 14?
I like that. I like 14. So we're gonna go CR 14. I'll type out challenge rating. And then
what's the CR of a Rakshasa? Because I actually think that this poses a similar challenge as a Rakshasa does, which is just it's a different encounter, but it's not necessarily that strong.
Do you really think so? I think this might be a little scary. Rakshasa's 13.
Okay, yeah. So 14,
I think 14's perfect.
Sounds right. Yeah.
What do we want the best stats? Like, what are the core stats of this creature? Rather than going and statting out strength, dexcon, whatever, I think this thing is very fast.
I think it's very quick, and I think it's very charismatic.
I don't think it's actually all that. Is it that wise?
I don't think it's wise. I think it's reasonably intelligent. Like, above average, not like crazy intelligent, but intelligent.
Okay. So its best stats are going to be dex and charisma, and its middling stats are going to be what? So...
I think it should actually be fairly strong. Like, I think strength I would like to put somewhere in the middle. I don't think of this as something that's physically weak. Mm-hmm. I mean, it has like a monkey's body, which is still a very powerful form.
Yeah, so we'll give it good strength and
like a nice crisp 13. I could see for strength,
And what is its worst stat is going to be
probably
wisdom.
Probably wisdom. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I like that a lot. This does make this creature a very, very easy target for a lot of clerics and things, though.
It's probably going to have magic resistance from its Fey origins.
You're right. Yeah, and I think that's a great counter for it.
And maybe save proficiency. We could look into a wisdom save proficiency.
I think it would make sense for a dream living creature, but I could also see like that time in that dream like prison having kind of rattled its mind a little bit to like make sense the low wisdom score.
Yeah, that tracks to me.
Does this have any skills?
Insight? Deception.
Yeah, I think deception and insight.
Deception and insight, I think, are both great.
Anything else?
I really like to give my monsters an acrobatics or an athletics if they're something like this. That's kind of like a sentient thing. Just for like,
all right,
less for flavor and more for just practicality.
I think athletics probably makes sense because it has that like gorilla-esque form. Jericho, i.e. Your Mama is a Bugbear. Yes, we just did a lot of the discussion for this, but we're kind of going over right now with everything else.
Yeah, and we're going to post the finished monster once we go through it in the chat.
Absolutely.
This needs to be able to put up with beholder eye rays. Iceling for species name. That's another cool idea for a name.
Mm. Do we want to give it any languages, Pete, or not worry about that for now? Sylvan?
I mean, if we want to just throw it in there, I mean, it probably speaks Common and Sylvan.
Does it speak Common?
I
kind of like the idea of it not speaking Common. That's why people get such weird dreams around it.
It could also get something like the language can speak the language of, or telepathy. I don't know, like.
Oh, can understand but not speak. But communicate only through dreams, maybe.
That's what I was saying. Angsthaza was on the same vibe, like language is yours.
Yeah.
That might be a good way to do it. I mean, I think this thing is at its most fun, regardless of what's cool. I think this is the most fun to interact with when you can speak to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rather just not gate that behind Sylvan and let anyone interact with this thing. Is my thought.
Okay. I'll just put languages all. It's a weird creature anyway. I think it makes sense. All right, let's start talking about the actual features of this boy. This being. What does it have? What do we just go through?
I mean, it probably. Wait, can I just throw one more thing? It probably speaks deep speech too.
Oh. Well, we already give it languages all.
Oh. I'm behind. I'm watching you on the stream, so I'm behind.
Well, we'll say deep speech all, whatever, and worry about exactly it after.
I should. I gotta look at the actual current document, not the one that's on the stream.
Yeah, Pete, you gotta open it up. Okay. So let me actually just start writing. This Fey being. These Fey beings were long ago banished from the Feywild by blah 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 to the esoteric essence of dreams. I'm just gonna say because we don't have the exact thing for that yet, and it doesn't really matter super much. That for millennia. Pray.
Yo Mama is a Bugbear, which I believe was Jericho was saying. Will there be more monster mashes? Yeah, certainly. We're gonna basically reset the clock on this and do it again once it's done. I believe. But if even like me and Jeremy have talked about doing other things that are similar to Monster Mash as well. Regardless, we'll have some type of goal that is up on the stream, and then we'll do another. We'll do another segment like this certainly. No matter what it is, I can't quite. Having trouble reading just because of the color of it is very close. Oh, let me just highlight it and see. Okay, Slug Salter, vegan. They spit blinding fairy dust. You're kind of in a similar vibe to where we ended up with these like kind of hypnotic eye wings. They're in a similar spot. Your Mama's Bugbear was saying, There's a plane of dreams from Eberron, Dalcor, the region of dreams. Yeah, I know that there's planes of dreams. I mean, there's a plane of dreams in D&D time, obviously. I know there's planes of dreams of various types that have been throughout D&D history in different places. And maybe there's a... that might be like the kind of thing to like put a side note. Like, if your game has a plane dreams, dream plane in it, you're playing a setting that has this, then maybe they're from there.
All right. So the creature, what's it called? We don't have a name for this.
We don't have a name quite yet. Let me go back and grab the ones that were said. There's a couple of name recommendations. There was the Shimmywanga. I'll just post that underneath the picture of the mandrill that we have here, so we don't forget these. And then Unkstaza had one as well. Iceling, that was what it was. Shimmywanga and the Iceling. And I wouldn't go too much further than that, Jeremy. I think that's a great place to just have us for, for when we go back and reference this later on. That'll get us there. But I think that's a good start. Dripple Spittlewings. Oh, wait, I went all the way back, and then Farku and Unkstaza just both reposted Shimmywanga and Iceling in chat. Dripple Spitterlings, I'll throw it on the list. I didn't see that one before. The Andrialphus was a suggestion from 12-Sided Guy. The Eye Holder. Dream Master.
There we go. I just wanted to capture the regional impact part in that little write-up. All right. So we have most of it. What features does it have that are super important that we need to have?
So we need to write down. It has its cloak. It has its Cloak of Eyes, which is like its hypnosis move.
I don't think we can call it Cloak of Eyes, though, because isn't the robe of... I guess the robe of eyes.
It's the robe of many... Oh, the stream of many eyes.
I think Cloak of Eyes actually works.
You could, call it the Cloak of Feathers, and it's like peacock feathers.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Peacock, feather-like wings, which drape down like eyes. And then I'm actually going to go to the Basilisk as an idea of where to pull some of this information.
But we want to do a don't look at it style hypnosis sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. But oh boy, we'll say instead of Basilisk, we'll put the little dots in.
Start joke: wasp holder instead of bee holder. End joke. Pretty good.
Yep.
Dazzling Mantle, says 12-Sided Guy. That's a great name.
I like both. Oh, I like Cloak of Eyes a lot, but I guess Dazzling Mantle is also very, very good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Mantle is just a very good word.
Yeah, Mantle's always great. Every time your Crusaders.
Cloak of Eyes. Let's go with Dazzling Mantle. I like that a
lot. Yeah, I'm down to just change it. I like Dazzling Mantle too. I'm just gonna give this the bold since we're getting into big text territory. So we're gonna borrow language from that, but that'll be roughly what it do. So it's going to have a the Dazzling Mantle, I think, is in if it's wearing its wings like a cloak, then does it have modes where when they're outstretched it flies, and when they're in the cloak form, if you hold them out to the sides, they're the Dazzling? Is it sort of you're in one of two forms, or is it
I don't
always
think so.
both?
Okay. Yeah, I think we can just say that it just is always under effect, and I like it a lot. I'm just gonna highlight this because this is more of art direction than peacock-like feather wings with drape-like eyes, drape-like eyes. That's art direction, not actually ability description.
12-sided guy says mantle of eyes is another way you could go.
Works either way.
Mantle of eyes gives us a whole other connotation. I think there is some truth there. We're going more into the peacock direction than the eyes thing,
So the night hag aspect, do we want to include that as an ability on the creature? Its ability to like travel through the ethereal plane and like haunt dreams, or do we want to just have that in the flavor text down here, and not worry too much about it as an actual stat on the creature?
I think that we should put something in there because for me, there's a difference between reading that a creature does something and actually like feeling empowered to use it as a DM, where I think having something that if you sleep within this amount of radius of the creature, it can communicate with your dreams. Like it's like something to that effect is just a smart tool to put on that will inspire DMs.
Let's call it Dream Eater.
Dream Eater. Fucking drowsy over here.
Sorry guys, I'm still sorry, drowsy. And yeah, we'll steal that language right off the night. Oh, magic resistance. It's just going straight up on there, right? Like.
Yep, I'll grab that.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, does the night hag even? It does. Its ability is called Nightmare Haunting. So this is interesting. It's called the ethereal plane, or it has to do with the ethereal plane for the night hag. But I guess we're just saying when a creature sleeps within, whatever.
Yeah, I think
we're gonna rename that to Dream Eater. And instead of while on the ethereal plane.
And maybe there's a way to. I don't think this is something that we play with right now in the details of that. I think we just note that we want it because I think that the way to go might be to in some way tie it meaningfully to the dream spell. Not saying it's the dream spell, but like as if by the effects of the dream spell. But I don't know what the dream spell does precisely because it's a very complicated one. But that's kind of the ideal that we want is basically for them to be able to communicate in someone's dreams, right?
I thought it was just really haunt their dreams, but yeah, I guess what is communicate?
Well, I mean, that's what Dream can do, though, is also just make your dreams haunting. So it's just, a lot of interpretation, a lot of options there. No, I think that's just a good thing to probably bind it to. Let me get.
Instead of creature, we'll just say humanoids. Do we want to limit it to humanoids? Yeah, I think so.
Do we want to? But what about beholders?
Yeah. Okay. We'll say each creature of intelligence 8 or greater. And we'll just say, we'll get rid of that. A protect from evil and good spellcast and target prevents this contact. Oh, I like that.
That's very good.
Yeah. And we'll just say, has dreadful visions. And I'm just going to highlight all this and... Because the exact language is up in the air, but we have an idea.
What we want it to do, but that's...
I see Jericho's taken off. Take care, Jericho.
Have a good night.
Yeah, if anybody, telling us 10 or greater makes dumping into good idea. I don't know, man. That's such a weird niche thing.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah, I don't think we need to worry about that. So we have the Dazzling Mantle, we have the Magic Resistance, we have the Dream Eater, and then it's actions, right? We're on to its actions.
Yep.
We've already got its fly speed up there. We don't know what it is yet, but I don't know, 30 probably, right? Actually, maybe we can have it be higher. We can have it be 60-foot fly, make it really fast.
Yeah, we can make it quick. I almost like the 50, the Aarakocra 50. It's not the full bird, but I don't know. I don't really care that much. 12
it's not
guy
huge.
That's just completely arbitrary. 12-sided guy, I like creature now because now speak with animals has a new use too. Imagine being a druid or a ranger, and animals are like, stuff's getting weird, man. The animals in the area are also subject to this dream feature. I like that.
So we got I say slashing, probably a bludgeoning. What's the
for the bite? Piercing. Yeah.
I was just thinking from like the gorilla fangs, and then for the claw.
That's probably going to be.
Yeah, right. It's going to be probably
2D
does it have
something.
Claws?
Why not?
I think it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we saying? D6 plus X slashing plus probably psychic damage.
Probably 2d6. Just for the.
Oh, because it's got two claws.
Just claw.
Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking like multi-attack, bite, claw.
I mean, no, just say claws. I think I like it better like that. Oh, talons, they say. Oh, but I guess the talons kind of make sense for the peacock kind of part, but I like it better as claws, I think. It's got multi-attack.
Multi-attack. Bite.
Is there anything else about this creature that we want to add in here that we think would be very interesting?
Yeah, the Enter Mind.
Oh, yes. All right. Great name for the feature, by the way. Enter Mind.
Not a pointy stick. Yeah, I guess we could give him a pointy whacking stick. A Rafiki-esque pointy whacking stick.
As an action.
Talon hands like a bird, legs like a fawn. These are all like very evocative images. I think it's just going to be down to like what we end up deciding to nail down that look on. But I really like the just starting out. The mandrill with the peacock wings, I feel like is enough for me right now because it's already like wild things, two very wild things. I like the two is kind of where I'm at right now. But Gust Cantrip is a function of its wings, but not as a spell. Obviously. So why doesn't this die from the eye rays again, D&D time? Because the party kills it. The party kills the beholder for it.
Oh, yeah. It lures the players in to kill the beholder, and then arises. Also, it stuns the absolute shit out of the beholders. The beholder's just stunned forever.
When the beholder, every time the beholder looks at it to use an eye ray at it, it has to make a save against the thing. So every time it targets with an eye ray, it has to save or be hypnotized by it.
Unassisted sequesters opens the creature's mind. While sequestered, it can use its Dream Eater. That's it. It can emerge as an action. Can it see while it's in their mind?
What? Yeah, I think so. Because that's the most fun, isn't it? If it waits for its dramatic moment to emerge, unless you like enact some kind of, and also like if you find this thing, it's so much cooler. I mean, you can have it be like could be ended by the Greater Restoration spell if they're higher level.
I don't know. I don't want Greater Restoration. I think Dispel Evil and Good.
Dispel Evil and Good is a very cool as well.
I think that's the one to go with.
But what I think is even cooler than that is if you're running this in your home game to make your own like expel the Shimmywanga ritual where you have to like go and meet someone who knows about this creature and like teaches you. You have to like you throw salt over your shoulder and cover yourself in garlic, which those won't be the things, obviously. But that's a cool way to DM this.
I really love this.
That won't be in the block. Yeah, I do too.
This is a very, very cool creature. I really like what we've come down to. This is a very rough stat block, but this tells us everything we need to know to go through those final polish steps, which just really aren't exciting to watch. But yeah, hot damn. Oh, Frosty, your first draft is done. Exciting. I'm interested in what undead version you came up with. Undead Beholder Slayer.
Only Unxhauser, you understand exactly my vibe. Only Sister Kate can dispel the Shimmywanga. Yeah, exactly.
Do we want to call it the Shimmywanga?
Honestly, I'm kind of like.
Let me just quickly Google the word Shimmywanga. All right, there's nothing racist or offensive about the word Shimmywanga as far as I can tell.
That was a good look.
I mean, we've said this like 4 or 5 times now on the stream.
Yeah,
it's very important to check that stuff.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta look. And by sometimes I mean you should always probably look. But it's easy for us to get caught up in it. But anyway, it's good.
All right.
I'm kind of like starting to really like the name Shimmywanga.
I do too. I don't think it sounds menacing enough. And maybe we come up with another thing. If y'all come up with ideas throughout the week, put them in the workshop. We'd love to see them. I am personally very into the direction this has gone. This is a very cool creature. It's very intimidating. I think it's the kind of thing that for me is exactly the kind of monster I would want for a party that has played a whole bunch of D&D. They fought beholders time and time again. You've given beholders different eye rays like are available in the Xanathar's Guide to Everything book. It's over there somewhere. You've done all these different things to spice it up. And this is that next step for like, haha, they fought the beholder. Oh, we know what to do. They go into their beholder fight strategy, and suddenly there's this different. And they're like, what?
12-sided guy, Shimmywanga is growing on me. Yeah, the more I say it, the more
it really is, isn't it?
The more this creature is becoming the Shimmywanga in my mind.
I agree. So this is absolutely awesome. I love where we came with Monster Mash 1. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out and being part of it. This was a blast. I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be this good. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Anyway, I'm really glad. I'm really happy with this first thing that we've made here. Their beard, the Red Beard Wonder, I think it was what that name was that just followed. Thank you so much for the follow, the Red Beard.
I love 12-sided guy. Once you guys nail down the Glock, I'm sorry. Sorry, it was just Otherness saying, this inspires me to run an adventure where the beholder hires a party to exercise whatever harassing its brains.
That's very cool.
I need help. I can't stop thinking about this strange Shimmywanga thing. Please. Might be a D&D time adventure this week. We'll see.
Yeah, like the Shimmywanga, there are Shimmywangas, but also like Jeremy, again, like I was saying, proper noun, doesn't it seem less like a Shimmywanga and more like the Shimmywanga?
I mean, I did call it the Shimmywanga, Pete, on the stream.
I mean, beyond the writing. Do you know what I'm getting at? Are you with me?
I'm with you. I love this. It's very fun.
I do too.
Gosh, is there anything else? Did we hit every mark? It's got its flight. It's got its cool telepathy, which I guess it has. We didn't know that. It's got its dream eating. It's got its dazzling mantle. It's got its ability to escape. Do we want to call it enter mind or mental retreat? I like enter mind a lot. Okay, never mind. I like enter mind. It's very good.
I'd be very sad if that turned out to be true, buddy.
That would be pretty sad.
Because I mean, it was y'all.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, guys.
I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about this. I think we're as refined as we can be right now.
Yeah. Well, folks, Monster Mash 1,
complete
total success.
So that, I think, is going to be bringing us now to the end of the stream. So I want to take a big shout out to everyone who's hanging out and for helping us put together this masterpiece, this magnifique Shimmywanga that we put together. Yeah, I really like this monster. I'm going to use this monster.
The real Shimmywanga was the friends we made along the way.
That is exactly right.
But yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you, all you new folks. I know there are a couple of you who are new to the show. Thanks so much for hanging out and for sticking with us. Absolutely. It's always awesome to have new people join in this community. Everyone here, well, not everyone, a lot of folks here make homebrew content. And if you want to join in and give your thoughts and feedback and contribute to our kind of creating community here, you can jump on our Discord, which we have a link to that on our website, dndtime.stream. Just hit the word Discord up at the top. And that'll bring you directly to our Discord server where you can join in the discussion and do all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Share your own stuff. Help other people do stuff. I put a link in the chat just for you, 12-sided guy.
Also, this is something we don't talk about this very often, but I just want to remind everyone, since it's becoming a little bit more active right now, we have a special tag on our server called Lab Rats, where if you go onto our Discord server and you look under, I believe it is under just
right at the top under the announcements channel.
It's under the channel updates. There is a section there where you can add server roles, and if you look, there's a little picture of a test tube that you can react to that emoji and get the lab rat roles. So you'll be notified with updates related to Fantasy Labs. Updates like when we finish the stat block and post the Shimmywanga for people to look at. So absolutely do that if you are interested in getting those kind of notifications. Things like Fantasy Lab homework, which we did for the first time today, are through that tag, and a number of other stuff as we're moving forward.
And if I'm just putting this out there, no pressure. If anyone wants to make their sketches of the Shimmywanga, I would love to be able to have that final stat block and have some cool sketches, even if they're just, hand-drawn. I have no artistic talent. My hands only destroy. But if you've got some ideas of what this looks like, I'd love to see what other people come up with for the final concept of what this is. I feel like maybe Shimmywangas all have slightly different, maybe some of them have talon feet, like eagles, talons and legs and stuff.
I was thinking that a little bit too. I didn't want to muddy the waters while we were talking about it, but I was kind of picturing the Shimmywanga just takes on whatever form the beholder kind of thinks about it in, So.
Mm-hmm. And should a beholder ever truly grasp its actual form, well, woe to the world. Thank you one more time to everyone who hung out, who followed. So many new followers tonight.
Also, I want to talk about that really quick. You guys absolutely blew us up with follows today. So anyone new here who followed tonight, one last thank you to you. And tune in on Friday to Pete and Jeremy's D&D Time. It's a show that we do every Friday where we do live play stuff with members of our community. So if you're watching, you could check that out and learn how to get
almost every Friday.
Almost every Friday. I'm sorry, I forgot that this week was an off week.
Because
I'm sorry, it's so rare.
Is the worst. But almost every damn Friday for the past 4 years.
I advertise it's every Friday but the upcoming one. We will be there. And tune in a week from today. We're here at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, every week with Fantasy Labs. I got nothing else, Jeremy, do you?
One last tiny thing. For those who are new to the channel, we do also have a segment on this channel where when folks make something that they think is polished, ready to go, boom, like the cream of the crop.
This is Player's Handbook ready.
You can talk to the Pete.
Message me.
Pete will put it on the segment Lich's Lair, where we take a critical analysis of the content. We bring you on the show. We talk through your design process, and we give this we demolish it. Yeah, exactly, Anastasia. We take a wrecking ball and bludgeon it.
It's a much more some of the critiques we were doing before were very surface level. We take a much more fine-tooth comb and really look at it in the context of the way we do Unearthed Arcana that comes out and an official 5e design.
And of course, we're not rude about it. We try not to be rude about it. The intent is just to say, where are the weaknesses, where are the successes, and what's the next direction to turn this from whatever it is at the time, whether it be okay content, a good start, or really good content, to becoming that next step up, truly great.
For anyone interested in truly, polishing the craft.
Absolutely.
That's about it.
Thanks everyone for helping us make our goal and for hanging out with us at this late hour. Sorry, Pete. He's Pete.
He's Jeremy. I already said I was Pete. He's Jeremy.
He's still Pete.
And this is Fantasy Labs. I almost said the other one. That was the best one, best outro yet. Good night, everyone.